It's beautifully laid back.
He's playing like a man possessed. Rusty also took it one step further this week.
And so much to talk about. It's not this rugby union show. Welcome back. Oh, the dust has finally settled. It feels like from that match that the Springboks played against Ireland in Dublin. So much said, and pretty much still a lot to be said after that. I think that a lot of the lawmakers will still have plenty to reflect on. And in fact, I spoke to a person who's going off to have a specific or a special meeting with coaches at the IRB, which is happening this week. So I think they definitely have gotten tongues wagging after we saw, I think, what we did over the last couple of weeks. It's great to be back. And as you can probably see, I'm flying solo. Sim is off this week, but I've got an apt stand-in for him. I pulled on the bomb squad pin and look how I managed to get into the studio. It's absolutely fantastic to have the return of the ginger ninja, the spicy plum himself, Steven Kitshoff. Thanks so much for joining us.
Xola, thank you very much for having me. No, it's awesome to be with you and chat a bit of rugby.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to this for a while, and I've been hunting and pestering you for quite some time, which tells me that you're a busy man. You know, when people tend to go off into retirement, it gets quiet, but not for you. But you have been absolutely, it seems like to me, everywhere. Have you been enjoying, getting your mind off rugby and just doing other things?
Yeah, it's a bit of a different ball game. I was hoping after I hang up my boots, I would be able to play a bit of golf, chill, put my feet up, catch up on some Netflix. But it's the opposite. It's flat out, a lot of events, a lot of appearances. But yeah, it's been good. It's good to get the mind off the rugby a little bit. Staying busy makes me not miss the game as much, which is good. But yeah, otherwise having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can imagine you miss it. And hey, I see Paul is definitely putting the comments up for us. So get those comments in. Love hearing from you guys. Elijah, I think the first one, Paul, I didn't get that comment, but it was something to do with the cremation of Welsh rugby or something. I don't know, which seems a little bit cruel and very, very early. It's still too soon. There you go. There's Elijah saying, is this the cremation ceremony for the Welsh rugby team, or am I too early for the service? Just eager to pay my condolences. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really tough match for them, and I'm glad I get the chance to talk about it with you, Steven. But before we do, I want to find out a little bit about what it is you are up to. I mean, you speak about the events. I know that public speaking is a thing that you're getting pulled into more and more. And also, tell me a little bit about Bomb Squad beer. Love
that. Yeah, it's a project myself and Malcolm have been toying with while we were playing rugby for a very long time. So we always spoke about life after rugby and what's the plans or what we're going to get up to. And I mean, beer was the standout product that we thought we can take to market and easily sell. But it's been keeping us very busy. We've sort of transitioned a little bit away from the alcohol space, not completely, but turn it into a bit more of a lifestyle brand. Started doing these licensing deals with some of the bigger corporates, going into more everyday life things. We went into the meat side, we went into biltong, clothing, release clothing ranges. So we're trying to build this bit of a Bomb Squad ecosystem, which is quite lekker. So a bit of a passion project that turned into a full-time business, and it takes a lot of my time and energy at the moment. So yeah, very, very proud of it.
That sounds awesome. Elijah saying Bomb Squad Biltong is coming next. But it's absolutely fantastic. And Elijah also saying maybe you can deliver one of those Bomb Squad beers for the Welsh. He's really wanting to go on about the Welsh. But I want to first start with last week because I've got a buck prop on, man. I have to talk about the scrums. I have to talk about what we saw in Dublin. Rassie laying down a bit of a marker. I felt, a lot of people are talking about the fact that the match was a bigger win than the scoreline suggested. And if you look at that dominance, absolutely have to agree with that. And it really did feel like Rassie was sort of letting it be known that, Ireland, you might be a competitive team, but when it comes to, the set piece, the tight phases, the Boks have your number. And, maybe that's why there wasn't too much of a concern about the scoreline.
Yeah, I think also like reflecting back on the game and doing a bit of a review in the week, I don't think the Boks were as clinical as what they wanted to be. I think that with the opportunities they had entering the islands 22 or that red zone so many times, I think they will be a bit disappointed with the scoreline, the Springboks. But I think if you look at the way that the forwards have dominated the set piece, the way that Sasha and Kobus and Danny Willems dominate the territory in their kicking game, I think they'll be very proud in the way that they actually won. I think, the scoreline doesn't reflect the true dominance the Springboks showed in that test match, but I think they can be very proud of the win, a scrappy win nonetheless, but still managed to put extreme pressure on Ireland. And I think that's probably where all those yellow cards and infringements and foul play and discipline issues came from. It's just the relentless Springbok pressure and pressure cycles that they put the Irish through. So still very, very proud of the result, and I think this Bok team can still go a very, very long way.
Yeah, I think the one thing, there was certainly a lot of pressure on Porter. It looks like the Springboks did their homework before that, and I know that the Boks are very meticulous. I know Don is incredibly meticulous when it comes to the scrum, but it looked like they were well prepared for him. When Tom started, it looked as though Porter could really not try any of his old tricks, as it were, Steven. I don't know. What was your take of that battle in particular? And obviously the change that happened later on just seemed to strengthen the Boks as the match went on.
Yeah, definitely. I think Don had a number. I think as well as on the Lucid side, I think with Tuomas versus Porter and I forgot our Lucids. Buan Venter with Buan versus versus Tog. I think they definitely had a plan on trying to take away any sort of trickery that the Ireland would have brought when it comes to scrum time. So I think they were very well prepared. I think the front row was the only thing they focused on was keeping the scrum up and getting the back five to bring as much pressure as possible. So and I think when Volku and Gerard came on, it was just almost carrying on that dominance and just applying even more pressure. So I think 100% Don had the Irish number. I think he understood exactly what Ireland would have wanted to bring, trying to get away with a quick ball, trying to make the scrum a bit scrappy, put it into the ref's hands. And I think the way that Buan and Tuomas handled that was incredible. So I mean, it's good to see that the pack operating like that and getting good results against one of the best and trickiest teams to scrum against, which is the Ireland, which is the Irish.
Kitzy, tell me about your partner in business and your partner in crime, Malcolm Marx. Every time we look at scrum performance like we saw, I think we tend to focus in on the props. But you guys had the opportunity to scrum with a really strong scrumming hooker in Malcolm, even Bongi. I'm thinking through the 2 World Cups now. How important is that for asserting the type of dominance that the Springboks seem to get at the moment? Having a really strong tight five rather than just the work you guys do. I'm not downplaying the importance of the props, but obviously when you've got a monster of a man like Malcolm, it must make a huge difference.
No, 100%. And I'm just happy that IRB and World Player of the Year panelists, or the guys who make the decision at the end of the day,
Yeah,
has actually decided and said, listen here, we'll give it to a front rower. And I'm very, very happy about that. So yeah,
justice,
I
Chris,
think Malcolm's
justice.
role, justice, yes, finally, I think, and with Ox there as well, it was amazing. Um, but yeah, I think Malcolm's role, as Bongi's role was over the years, is vitally important when it comes to dominance and scrummaging. A hooker that can take on his opposite man, put him under pressure, um, really dominate that middle of the scrum, makes it so much easier. The work so much easier for the prop. So yeah, I think Malcolm plays such a massive role, and I think that's probably why you also see him going so deep into the test matches. I think without not putting any not talking badly at all about Grobbies, I think Malcolm is just a much
Mm,
better scrummaging and more solid when it comes to the scrum. So I think Rassie understands he's going to get a bit more out of him when it comes to set piece. And I think Grobbies will probably still grow into that role, and we'll see him perform
yeah.
better and better as he gets a bit older and gains a bit more experience. But I think as a key man now, when it comes to the dominance of the Springbok scrum, it's definitely Malcolm. I think he's playing such a massive role, and I think the combination with a Thomas or a Boon or Ox, if Ox is fit, makes a huge difference. I think those three, they're quite devastating, and they're quite dominant as well.
Yeah, look, I never dabbled in the dark arts of the scrum, but what does it do? Because I mean, I've noted over the years, hookers used to be very short. They used to be quite diminutive, stocky little guys, whose main goal was to throw the ball into the line out. And, if they've got a bit of pace, that helps around the park a bit. But if I look at the current shape of the Springboks hookers, these are big guys. Does that just help you
Yeah.
stay square a little bit better? What benefit, what advantage do you gain from having a Malcolm next to you?
No, I think it makes the scrum way more stable. I think compared to scrumming against or next to a short, stocky hooker, or maybe a guy that's more there like an extra loose forward, like the Skalk Brits days and stuff like that. Skalk was an excellent scrummager, but he was no match to Malcolm. And I think we're having a guy like either Bongi or Malcolm there. He just dominates that space so much. You struggle to move him. He's got big, broad shoulders,
Yeah.
so he dominates that space. And I think when it comes to the dark arts, Malcolm's not scared to actually attack a Oak's collarbone or put pressure on an Oak's neck. Like he's strong, he can handle the pressure, and I think then it becomes a battle of like that brutality, like who's going to outlast you, and it's better to have a guy like Malcolm or Bongi, or even I think Grobbies or Jan Hendrik Wessels. I think they are big lads who can fill that space quite solid there in the middle. And I think long gone are the days of tiny hookers that's main job is to
Yeah.
throw and chill on the wing. I think that's long gone. I think everyone's going to go for these big brawny or these big bruiser hookers that can move, but also anchor scrum very well.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to leave the house now. The hookers are going to come after me. I think I'm going to get attacked. There are a lot of questions, and I appreciate it, guys. If you have any, do drop them in on the comments. And it looks like a lot of people want to know about the coaching. I'm going to start here with Julian, because we mentioned his name, who said I also want to hear about the impact from Don has as a scrum coach. And how the Boks have evolved since Matt Proudfoot. Jeepers, Jules, you're taking it back to Matt. But yeah, Don's role. And I mean, he is probably one of the most enigmatic guys I've ever come across. He doesn't say much. He's got that very stern look. He's got that you don't want to fuck with him kind of, fireball tan. But as a coach,
exactly.
yeah. He does give that energy, sort of, yeah, I'm done. But as a coach, like I said, meticulous, so much into the detail, isn't he?
100%, and I think he's brought a different dimension to the Springboks. I think what Matt Proudfoot tried to bring in, he was a very, very heavy technical coach. He was very like on angles, bind, where does your head position go? And I think Don is not the opposite, but he's very team orientated, 8-man scrums, like everyone working together. So you always talk about like there's like a dip and a fire, beating the guy to the ground, all about speed, all about generating power. And I think that's the big difference between like a Matt Proudfoot, who was a very, very good technical coach. He taught you all the dirty tricks, and then Don is all about like the brute force and the power of the Springbok scrum. And I think that's what he gets right. Like that's what he gets right in his meetings. He gets that out of the guys. Like he wants everyone to operate as a team together. It's like always put up a photo of a John Deere tractor or a bulldozer, and he's like, "This we're going to work as a unit together. This is us. We're going to bulldoze these oaks into submission. Every scrum is going to be like it's like a panzer. We're going to go for them, put them under pressure." So that is the Don's mentality 100%. Like he rocks up there training with his bucket hat, and then from there it's 8 to 10 scrums, and we're just going to go flat out and see how quickly we can either tie each other out, or how quickly we can snap this thing right for the weekend.
Yeah, my conspiracy theory is that the bucket hat actually activates a switch in his brain in the morning when he puts that thing on.
Yeah, when he does.
Yeah. The dot is switched on. There was another one here. It's very similar type question, but maybe you've got a different answer. It was KTM Enduro Rally, who sounds to me like an absolute Dakar guy, saying, Steven, what scrum coach has been the most influential in your development as a prop? Do you have a favorite scrum coach? So maybe going back to junior days a bit.
Yeah, I think without mentioning too many names or telling who's my favorite coach, when I just started out at the Stormers, I worked for many years with Matt Proudfoot. So he was Stormers assistant coach, scrum coach, and forwards coach at the back in 2011, 12, 13 era. So I've done a lot of like the pro development scrummaging with under Matt. So he taught me a lot, more of the finer details, more of the dark arts, and then up until 2019, I was with him, and then Shimmy took over from at the Stormers. I learned a lot from Shimmy, more in the like about speed of engagement, analysis side, and then Don with the Springboks right after that. So, and then that was all about brute force, speed.
So what you're saying is hookers are useful.
Yeah. Shimmy has his role. He has his place and role. But yeah, I think a bit different. But I think Matt, when it came to the development side of my scrummaging, especially as a pro, I think he played the biggest role. I think when it comes to pure dominance, I think Don had a bigger impact.
Yeah, no, and it's great to see Matt back coaching again. I think he's joined Alistair Kutsia at Eastern Province. And I know that things didn't go very well at Springbok level for Tutti, but trust me when I say he is a very good coach and a very good man motivator. Yeah. And I think it's exactly what Eastern Province needs. The other guys that we actually had on not too long ago on our podcast, we had Dobbo on quite a bit a while ago, and then Rito Hlongwane as well. The confluence of those two guys at Western Province, for me, I think is absolutely phenomenal, and you're starting to see it bear fruit. I mentioned Province because it's a very roundabout sort of way for me to ask you, what about Brock Harris, his impact? Because, he's another one who's just called it quits at the tender young age of, was it 40 or 41? I don't know.
I think
Brock
40,
might have lied to us. Yeah, he might have lied to us. I think he's older than what he claims. But you have guys like that around and their impact on your career. I mean, I followed you as a 19-year-old getting your first chance at senior level. And even that required special permission and all sorts of back and forth with was it the Sports Science Institute? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
but to grow up in that hotbed with those coaches that I've mentioned, you've mentioned Shim, I've mentioned the other two, Brock Harris around. How much does that help a young player, just in terms of gaining confidence? Playing against men and them basically affirming that you've got this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, especially with Brock has been like a bit of a mentor for me, like throughout my entire rugby career. Like, I think all the years I've played with him in the beginning with the Stormers, it's always been my gym partner. We've always done extra work together when it comes to scrum time. And he's just like the ultimate professional, in my opinion. I think he'll make a huge difference now with the Stormers. If he gets like a full-time gig there. But he's just been an absolute legend, especially for my career, and like learning from him, and always being that little bit older, but just that amount of knowledge and expertise he was willing to share with the guys was quite incredible. And then I think, talking about Tuti was as well. He was the coach who gave me my first shot at the him and Rassie gave me my first shot at the Stormers back in 2011. And then Rassie was the one who gave me a Springbok call up in 2016 when he became coach of the Heineken Meyer. So yeah, I've got a lot of time and respect for Tuti, and I think he's going to make a huge difference at the Epic Kings, and I think he might just pull something out of the hat there. And then, yeah, as you said as well, Rito has made such a huge difference, I think, when it comes to the way the Stormers forwards think about rugby these days compared to when Bobby Skeestad was still there, and it's all about flair and having fun. I think the Oaks are they're a bit more tough these days, and the Oaks are between him, Norman Laker, Dobbo and Darby. I think they're getting a lot out of the Oaks. So I'm looking forward as well to see the Stormers Munster game this weekend. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be good to see a refreshed Stormers side after they've gone unbeaten in the beginning of the URC. To see them now after a bit of a break, and Oaks hopefully come back a bit more conditioned after a little bit of another preseason, and to see how they're going to rock up there in Munster. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the URC. I think, especially with the Boks also beating Ireland, I think there might be a little bit of anger in these.
Like a confidence from the local boys, the confidence that we can do this in Dublin. If we have to do it in Dublin, exactly. which I absolutely like. More questions. I'm going to ask you one good question and one stupid question. I think this is the way we have to take it. One by one, saying interesting to hear ex-ref Nigel Owens stand by keeping scrums competitive and not to depower it. I don't know if you heard that at all. I actually listened into him this week, old Nigel Owens, and I think one of the questions with Jamie Roberts was, should they maybe look at a scrum not having the same effect that it does, because a dominant scrum now gives you a full-on penalty, whereas, back in the day, you get a little short arm, and there's nothing, and one of the things that I heard Nigel saying was, there's almost nothing a dominated scrum can do. The other guys are just bigger, stronger, better. You are going to stumble. You are going to, get on your skids and go backwards. And there's almost nothing. It's not that you're trying to shift the momentum or, move the scrum around or wheel it. You just dominate it. And the question was, is it fair that the other team can get points off that? And he said, well, it is what it is. It's... some teams have a benefit from having really good backs, others from really strong scrums, others from really good lineouts. What's your take on the importance of the scrum, especially after what we've seen in the past couple of weeks, never mind last week?
Yeah, no, I think Nigel's 100% right. I think a team with a good pack is that's one of their blades or their swords in their armor, because that's what they're trying to do, and that's what they train every week because they know they've got a good dominant set piece. So between the scrum or maul, that's what they back to either get them momentum, get them a field position, or maul penalty. So to depower the scrum, I think it would go against the how we would say the love and the law of the game. Like let's play the game as it is. Let's not depower what certain teams find as their assets, where other teams, as you said, might have an incredible backline or a 9-10 combination that just is world beaters. But the Springboks really find comfort when it comes to scrum time. So that is part of their game plan and it's part of their preparation. So let's back that for as long as possible, and having guys like Don and Rassie and everyone who's really keen on a good scrum in charge, and the leaders of the group, like we'll see it for many years to come, hopefully.
Okay, that was the one good question. And now for the silly one, which is from Paul. No surprise. How come everyone says that props score the hottest women? I think it's true, though. I don't know. You don't have to answer that. Your missus might be there. But I think it's true. Okay. No, thanks very much for that answer. We've got a couple more. There was Gethro Steenkamp in the chat. Listen, I love this as a Springbok prop listening in. And this is not even a question. I think is just making a statement. Props are the backbone of the team, physical and emotional support. I don't know what he means by the emotional part, Steven.
The emotional part is the props always keen to go for a quick beer. And if you've got something to say, we're here to listen. Yeah, I think it's more there. Like if you need a buddy for the pub, like we always have our hands up first.
Okay. Well, that makes absolute sense. And there was a question. In fact, there was a comment about exactly that, which said, "It's gone now. I've lost it." But I think it was Elijah who had something to say. Saying, "Good to see you, Kitzy Aister. Imagine the insane marketing Malcolm will bring in for the Bomb Squad brand, World Player of the Year." I don't think it was per chance. You guys obviously had a plan. You sort of decided in the boardroom one day, listen, I'm calling it quits. You're going to have to go and do something big. But yeah, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And it is. I think it's so important what you guys have done in that as players, you started planning for the future. And it's something that a lot of rugby players don't necessarily give a lot of thought to. So well done for that. I think, may you be an example to a lot of professional players and young players still going to get into the game. Elijah asking, do you also follow one account on Twitter during test week? I don't.
No. I don't have the time for that. It's like a thing. Rassie go through a lot of effort to do that. No, I think just on the previous statement, we jokingly, but seriously, we did like a year ago when I just found out that I have to like almost call it quits. One of our board meetings, I did say, listen, Malky, like I'm gonna handle everything work-wise now, and you just carry on playing good rugby so we can keep the brand alive. So jokingly, we actually had a meeting like that, which is I can remember vividly.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go. Well, it's worked out for the absolute best. KTM had asked a question earlier about Ireland. He said, when you played Ireland in the past, did you guys feel they usually played negative rugby that wasn't blown, and was this weekend a situation where they got blown for dirty play? So I'm going to temper KTM's words a little bit, and maybe it's not necessarily being dirty, but it's about knowing when to do a Richie McCaw. To gain the advantage of the laws and the referee, rather than dirty, because they did play hard. The Irish always play hard. But do you find that? Do you think that there was something there where the referee was actually really good and he didn't give them any room to mess around?
No, 100%. I also felt like when I was watching the test match, like Paul Roos' C team has better discipline than Ireland in that test match. But it was, I think with a scrum and a dominant performance like that, it's difficult to It's difficult to stay on the good side of the referee if you understand what I'm saying. Like they will always pin you for infringement in the scrums. You're always late to set the offside line. So when you get dominated, and you can ask any referee, they always award the dominant side. So when it comes to penalties, marginal 50-50 calls, if it looks like you're offside, you'll probably pick it up because you're just on top of them the whole time. So I don't think they a dirty side. I think they were just out dominated, and that gave a bit of a picture that they dirty and playing and trying to bend the rules a little bit. But I think they were just under so much pressure.
Yeah, I know they were under an immense amount of pressure, and I don't know. I mean, I watched that game with friends. I was very very lucky to be sitting in a room with a couple of people that I really like, and we were very festive, and it was wonderful. And I can't imagine what it must be for you. I know that a couple of the guys we speak to don't watch as closely as one might think when you start playing. I remember Mark Andrews was telling us, because we had him on, because this year was most 30 years since they won in 95.
Yeah.
And he was telling us that this year was the first time that he watched the 95 World Cup final. He just had never sat down and thought to watch the match.
Right.
What is it like? Yeah, what is it like for you? I mean, do you get nervous in the build-up? Are you thinking about, oh gosh, they must be doing this right now, and or have you completely divorced yourself from that to make it more enjoyable experience?
I mean, well, not to be honest, not really. I think I still think a lot of what the guys are going through, like on a from like a Thursday when there's really like a big build up in the media, and you start reading all the articles and you see the team announcements, then I'll be like thinking, if I was in camp now, we'd probably be on the golf course. Next day we would be captains, and we'll have this for lunch.
Yeah.
And this is like the morning of the test match. We will be doing X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I think since I've been working for doing a little bit of work for Supersport, like all these questions get asked of me the whole time. So people would ask, like, listen, what's going through the guy's head right now? What's the Oaks up
Right.
to? What's it looking like? What do you reckon with all the information you got throughout the week? What do you reckon the headspace is of the boys, so we can make like a good prediction on a pre-match build-up? So yeah, I mean, I think more of it now than I do when I'm watching the game on my ace. Like this weekend, I actually watched the game alone. Like my wife was in Joburg, and I sat on the couch and watched the Springbok Island game by myself, and it was actually a lot of fun because I could just watch the game. Like I didn't have to explain anything. I didn't have to talk about the rules, and I can just enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that. I think I watch more rugby when I'm alone. So even as though I was saying this weekend I was sitting with friends, I still had to go back home and rewatch it because I felt like there's too many distractions. What happened now?
Exactly.
What did the referee do?
Yeah.
Was he supposed to do that? So I completely get it. The other oddity that I think a lot of people might not know, I'm going to take you back, and I don't know if you're even going to have time to look forward to the Wales game because I'm loving this chat so much. But as I'm going to take you back to the 2 World Cups, I was so fortunate to be with you guys in 2019 in Japan when you won that final. And I just remember walking into the team room, and the beer was flowing. It was absolutely one of my favorite memories of all time. It was fantastic. But what a lot of people don't necessarily see is that you guys might be celebrating as a group and the fans that are there, but you don't actually feel the spirit of winning the World Cup until you get back home. What is it like, not just to actually win the thing and celebrate the moments after, but to realize that, oh my goodness, we've been celebrating this away from home? Because I'm sure once you open those doors, or those doors open at OR Tambo, you sort of understand that, shoot, everybody was watching. Everybody was in it.
Yeah. As well, no, 100%. I think you don't really. I think you're so wrapped up in the moment when it's done. So that Saturday evening, that Sunday, that Monday, it's like a bit of a blur. So you're happy because your teammates are happy and your wife is happy and the people like in your inner circle are all celebrating. So you just celebrating with them, but you're actually so fatigued and tired from this entire Rugby World Cup campaign that you just went through. So you celebrate like that, and you like, and as you said, the beers are flowing, but you truly only understand what that win means as soon as you arrive at OR Tambo, you get on that bus, and then you see the thousands of people that come out just to catch a glimpse of the Springboks. That's when you actually truly realize, like, this thing we just did is quite special, and it means a lot to a lot of people. So, no, 100% right. I think when you're there in Japan or in France, you just partying because of a party. And I think when you get back home, you realize, like, so Africa actually needed this, or the people really, really wanted something special to happen with this World Cup campaign. And then you see what it truly means to the fans and the people that watch you every weekend.
Yeah, no, I've been so lucky because I was in France in 2007 for the final, in Japan for the 2019 final. I missed the 2023 final, and I watched it in South Africa, and it sort of dawned on me, oh my goodness, this is what it's like to witness the Springboks winning a Rugby World Cup away from home, when you're just sitting, in a pub in the middle of Melville. It was fantastic. A couple of questions. I don't want to keep you for too long. I promised you I wouldn't be too long, and now I've already lied. KTM has got a couple more, and I think it's a good one that he asked here. Kitzy, he says there's a lot of talk about player load with game times these days, but all coming from the media. As a player, do you guys feel a much higher demand physically and mentally, or is it well managed? And I think that's off the backs of World Rugby saying that elite players will be or should be limited to 30 elite matches a season. What's your take on player welfare?
Yeah, I think with the way that the URC and the Springbok schedule is lined up at the moment, it's quite difficult to really put a lot of emphasis on recovery, rest and recovery, because the season becomes like a year long. Like the URC's break is when all the players are playing the incoming series in the Rugby Championship. So all the Springboks that's done well in the URC or has played a lot of rugby in the URC go into that international window, or that Southern Hemisphere international window, and it just becomes this cycle of rugby around the year. So yeah, I've always been a big believer in managing players' time, creating longevity in the player's career, not being burned out by the age of 32, 33. You want to see an experience fly off like Andre Pollard, play at 36 and still captaining the Bulls in a big URC final. Like, you want to see that. You might not see him in a Springbok jersey anymore, but you want to see him represent his club at the best of his ability. But the only way you're going to get that right is if the player is managed well, and he's got longevity, and he's got understudies, and he's got players that he rotates with. Because a guy like Sasha or like Malcolm is a great example for me this box season. It felt like he played almost every minute, and I mean, only got the break against Ireland and now against Wales. But every other test match, he was basically on the field for 70 plus minutes. And he also phoned me and said, "Listen, my body is tired. I'm not keen to go back to Japan and replay my rugby there, because I need a bit of a break." And that's when it becomes tough. I think going from such a big high from playing international, just beating Ireland, and now in a couple of weeks he needs to go do a preseason in Japan. I think that's also where a big burnout comes from the players. So yeah, to manage that, it's gonna take a lot of effort, and also a lot of discipline from coaches to be able to rotate players, manage players, look at game time, look at mental fatigue. And I think it's a big part of the game that needs to be solved quite rapidly.
And you know what that does, Kitzy, I've always thought, well, it will make it plug other gaps as well, because I imagine I'm in Joburg. I can see the city from my living room, so I can see the roof of Ellis Park, and I know the Lions have been absolutely struggling. But I can see a world where a Malcolm Marks, and maybe it's a Malcolm post the age of 33 or 34, playing in Joburg in front of Lions fans, getting people to come out to the stadiums again, because they want to see their heroes. They want to see, the guys who made the Lions what they were when they were, sort of winning Currie Cup after Currie Cup. So I absolutely take your point about the longevity, and it's not necessarily that we want to see these guys always play in the green and gold, even beyond their years, but they can actually plow something back that's intangible to the fans, to everybody who wants to come out and support. I'm going to ask Paul to stick up the SA team quickly, Paul, if you can, for us, because I think Elijah's All in the Games comment is about this. And I didn't want to let you go, Kitzy, without having a look at Rassi's selection for this week. It's a 7-1 split. And that's the first thing you noted when we connected, that there's a lot. And then you also came across an article which I've now seen a few of, saying Dwayne Vermeulen is on standby. What did it say?
Yeah, the Bok veteran is on standby in case there's a late injury, which will be amazing. I think Dwayne just tie up his boots one more time and just have a full go. But yeah,
I would love
just looking at this. I would love to see it. I think just looking at the Springbok squad, it's like a proper strong squad going into this Wales Test match. I mean, you've got Wilco starting at tight end. Ruan Orkia is probably the most informed five for me at the moment with the box. Sia's captain, Franco back, Jasper back, and then Mornay and Sasha 9-10 combination with Andre Esterhuizen inside center. It is unbelievable for me. Starting 15, like a mixture of youth and experience, which is so lucky to see.
Yeah, it is. It's incredibly, all the big boys are on there. Kobus Reinach, and that's why they got his picture up. He's the only back on the bench. And he's going to have to cover a lot of positions if things don't go according to plan. But I did mention this earlier when we were offline, that I love that it's going to force Sasha, I think, a little bit of a longer run than what we've seen him go for. And I think Rassi's done very well to sort of manage him and just, not let him get ahead of himself, and also just temper everybody else's expectations. I think more than Sasha. I think Sasha knows what he can do. I think we just, as the public and the fans, get very excited or overexcited as well. But I love that because the only other person to cover him is Damian Willemse.
Yes. No, I think also within that back line, that starting back line, Kanan can play wing. I think Ethan Hooker can play fullback. Willemse can move to fly off, as you said. So I think you can put a guy like Kwagga on the field and play him at wing as well, because he's got the pace and the skill for it. So I think rotation wise, if there's injuries, it's going to be quite an interesting one to see how the guys get rotated. But yeah, I mean, it's still for me a very strong 1 to 15, and also bench. I mean, having Bongi back, Zachary Porton on, I think it's his third Test match. Lucet, Asenati, Eben with some experience on the bench, Marco van Staden, Ben Jason, Kwagga. I mean, that is a proper pack of forwards that could come on and just get a bit of havoc. Yeah, so they're going to cream.
They're going to cream them. They're going to cream them. Elijah, I hope that answers your question, because he says your thoughts on the 7-1. All in the game, saying Andre Esterhuizen getting a run at 12 feels like a novelty these days. De Allende at 13 feels so weird. I feel for a weekend Wales who are in for a very long evening. Yeah, look, it could be. But then again, we've seen stranger things, Kitzy, on a rugby field. Sometimes, when you've got a young team, backs against the wall, lots to prove, everybody's written you off. That's when, those moments can really galvanize you. And we've seen the Boks go a man down so many times, and it just pulls them closer together.
Yeah, and also I thought, like, if you think about the Wales Test match against the All Blacks this weekend, they were in it for a very long time. They played good. They come under pressure. I think the only thing not counting in Wales' favour is they've also lost 13 players due to this test match being outside of the international window. So there's a bit of a tricky one for them. But also, as you said, strangest thing has happened, and putting a young, inexperienced squad together, they might just fire and put the Boks under real pressure. And I'm nervous to see a Wales team that gets their tails up and things don't go well for us. It could become a long day for the Boks as well. But if I had to be honest, I think the Boks are gonna put some pressure on them.
Yeah, no, definitely. I see it that way as well. But I think, something that people might not see when you're watching on television is they close that roof at the Principality Stadium. It becomes weird. It becomes like humid, almost not hot, just sort of humid. You can almost smell the grass a little bit more. Then they start singing Land of Our Fathers louder and louder. And the pressure, before you know it, can get on top of you. And I think South Africans tend to almost not write off Wales, but maybe we tend to want to underestimate them. But it's a great place to play, but it can be a really tough place to play.
100%. As you said, when that roof closes and it becomes like a bit of a hot pot, and it's humid and sticky, and the crowd gets loud, it becomes intimidating. It's the Welsh fans, when their team does well, gets quite passionate. So I have been on the receiving end as well in that stadium. I mean, we went through a run for 4 or 5 games or five test matches where we couldn't get a win over the Welsh. So not to say that they're the same team from a couple of years ago, but they are. It could get tricky as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a unbelievable, beautiful stadium. Cardiff is such a cool city to visit as well. Have a couple of pints, and then just hopefully it's gonna be a good weekend of rugby, which is we're all looking forward to.
Yeah, no, it is. Cardiff is an absolute vibe, and you guys are always shacked up in that hotel next to the castle, sort of central city there. Yeah, the Hilton. Yeah, I'm not going to ask what happens on the drag in front of the Hilton. That goes, you know it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Should I
Let's
say the bit just outside to the right? Yeah. The less the better. But the Welsh are very emotional about their rugby. They built up to it as well. I mean, they're going to roll out. They always roll out royalty because, of course, the Boks in Wales play. It used to be for the Prince of Wales Cup. Now it's the Prince William Cup. So there might be a royal in the royal box as well, and that just G's everybody else up a little bit more. And but I have never, Kitzy, in my life before seen what I saw in Cardiff, and that was we were walking from the hotel, but we had to cart our camera equipment, and it's close, so no point taking a car, right? So we walking, trudging along with the cameras and the tripods, and then your guys' bus came through, and everybody sort of parted and made way for the Springbok bus. But what struck me was the entire audience just stood back and they applauded the Springboks as you guys drove into the Principality Stadium, and I thought that was absolutely superb. You won the match, and on the way back, same thing happened. Amongst the best rugby fans I've ever experienced. It's if you're watching this, if you're watching us tonight and you want to know where to go and watch a Springbok Test match overseas, if you've only got one, put the Principality right up there. It's a good place, a special place.
Yeah, no, Cardiff is such a cool spot, and they put up and the way they get the bus to the stadium is quite a special thing with the horses and the. How they escort the bus to get into the stadium is quite cool. So as you said, they for me, the Welsh is they're so passionate about rugby, and they really care about the Springboks. And when the teams come and travel there, even URC level, the guys really put up. They try and make it special for you, and they're always keen to have a beer afterwards. So I really love Cardiff, and I've always had a great time internationally when we travel that side.
Listen, I'm trying to not let you go, but I think I need to be fair and do so because I'm looking over your left shoulder there, and if the sun is set in Cape Town, it's definitely time for you to go, brother. Thank you so much for joining me. thank you, Mrs. for loaning you to us for a little bit. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon. It's been really, really cool catching up.
No, thank you very much. It's a lot of fun now, and no, it's a great show. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Kitzy. And to everyone else, thank you for your comments. Keep the conversation going. Give us a like, a share, a subscribe. And next week, I won't be flying solo. I'll have Sim back and hopefully another great guest as well as we edge towards the end of the year. Cheers, everyone. Welcome back to That Rugby Union Show. Well, what a week it's been.
He's playing like a man possessed.
And so much to talk about.
It's not this Rugby Union Show. It's That Rugby Union Show.